Good evening and welcome back to SDN Racing for Tier 1 as we arrive into one of the most iconic venues in all of motorsport, the legendary Silverstone circuit. The opening round in Australia certainly lived up to expectations, delivering drama, overtakes and an unforgettable finish to kick off the new season. It was Sasha who left Melbourne upside down as the championship leader after a superb victory, but it was anything but straightforward. It was defined moments after the race came out on the very corner where Sasha produced a sensational move to snatch first place away from Lucas after an incredible wheel-to-wheel battle. It was one of those moments why racing sometimes is unpredictable and can be literally decided literally meters before the checker flag. And Kevin also finished in P3 with a strong campaign but dropped away from the top two as he purely did not have the pace, as Kik recovered to P4 as well, dropping down the order. Pole sitter Finn Hurst looked to have the pace to fight for victory, but his disappointment ended with a retirement, and reigning champion Eric endured a difficult start to the season, trying to defend his championship, but it all unfolded after turn 2 when Fireblaze unfortunately spun out and Eric was collected. But now the championship heads to Silverstone, a circuit regarded as one of the most purest tests of driver's ability anywhere on the calendar, home to Formula 1's first championship race back in 1950. This historic venue is built around speed, commitment and confidence, and also built on a former World War II airfield. My name is Jamie Morris, and alongside me tonight is my Dutch co-commentator Milan Langer. Milan, how are you, mate? You alright?
I'm alright, thank you very much. And once again, we arrive here at Silverstone. Feels like we've done this track many times in the last few weeks, but also we had the real life race, of course, a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, good to be back, of course, here with SDN. Last race certainly was quite exceptional, so looking forward to this one as well, especially on a track like this, even though this track is not really suited for the cars like these and these regulations. We saw it in real life, and definitely in game it's also quite a struggle with the battery management with such a lot of medium high speed corners. And you cannot really recharge the battery, so you really have to rely on your battery management. But for now in qualifying, well, usually that's not really the case, but with these regulations, also in qualifying, you really need to manage that battery. So it adds an extra challenge to all of these drivers as we kick off here with sprint qualifying. So everyone is on the mediums, of course. I think it is short qualifying, if I'm not mistaken. If it is full, then we'll see many more sessions after this. But at the moment, majority of the drivers out on track, trying to set their lap times. Dr. Davis on a lap. Olijfolie is on lap, and Kevin Sonnenberg is also on a flying lap in the Red Bull. Let's see what he can do as he comes onto the Wellington straight, former with a DRS zone, now with a straight zone, of course, with the rear wing now opening. I think it was maybe a visual glitch of the past, but now this time around, at least for me, the rear wings are opening, so that is good to see indeed, as he makes his way through Lovefield and onto this little back straight heading towards Cops corner, using a bit of battery on the exit just to get himself that little bit of a boost, and straight line speed down this straight now flat out through Cops corner and heading towards Maggots and Beckett, where you want to try and save as much battery as you can. You really don't brake a lot in this part of the track, so you only gain 5 to 10% with a little bit of lifting mid corners, and you use the battery on the exit as well. Might get a slight slipstream there of the Audi, very close as he goes on the right hand side. Sure, who that was might have been Basti, I think, in the Audi, but fortunately no contact made. Then on the exit there was Stowe heading towards the final chicane, completely out of battery. It will recharge some through here, through this slow chicane, and then will use the remaining of his battery on the exit. Bit of a moment to take with a 39.0, but Kevin with a 27.28, putting himself at the front, and definitely already quite a competitive lap time, it seems, as everyone else behind will start to set the lap times. So with Olijfolie now in second place in the RB.
Indeed, then. So Kevin Sonnenberg, immediate pace setter with a 27.2, as Olij's 1 second back there, so plenty of time to be found in hand for the guys behind. Lucas goes P2 now, he's 8 tenths away. It looks like Kevin Sonnenberg is set up here already, as Hapmiel Christian goes P2 in the Alpine. Had a bit of a scruffy start to the season, didn't he, in Australia, where he was on the back foot. Sasha now goes P2. Expect him to be very quick as well here in Silverstone. He has been rapid, and now he is also a PSGL. You know what? This is good for the PSGL boys in F1, F2, F3, whoever they are. So the likes of Eric, I know, Sasha, Kevin Soderberg, and whoever else here is racing the PSGL on Monday. This is a good indication and a good practice session as well. So this is going to be useful for them on Monday when the new season starts in PSGL. So this is good track time and information for these guys here. But Kevin Soderberg 1/10 clear of Sasha with P2, as Kevin Soderberg is always blisteringly quick as well, as we see the Aston Martin go up into P8. Gull in the Aston Martin with a 28.100. I do hope I pronounced that correctly. If I didn't, I apologise, mistaken, and please correct me if you can. But Bassi in the Audi coming through Stone now on the mini-car power tyres, majority on the mini-car power tyres, because I think they're saving the sets for the sprint qualifying race, or the sprint race I must say, to correct myself there. Here comes Bassi around the final corner. Let's see what pace he could do. Oh, it's a bit of a lag spike there. It looked like he was heading off into the gravel, but he wasn't. Fireblaze, one of those people that's going to go on the soft car power tyres, now he's P6, so that's not really competitive in terms of Fireblaze's standards. He has raced in Silverstone before on this new configuration on the DLC, so I expect him to be quicker, but I think he won the race too, if I'm not mistaken, in that other league, but that's not good enough for Fireblaze, unfortunately. P6 there with a 27.688, so a mighty improvement has to be found. Sam in the Williams goes up into P3 there with a 27.563. He has been rapid but has dropped backwards in a few races too, and I believe he in Australia it didn't quite go his way either. Where's Max? Max is P7 there in the racing board. Remember back in Saudi when he was quick and competitive in the sprint and also in the feature race. He missed out on a win in the sprint race, sorry. I think he crashed, or a safety car unfortunately was the cause of that event, and it just went downhill from there. And he doesn't have the pace like he did on the last game, does Max, it must be said. He did struggle in qualifying too in the last game. Now, Mum and Nick, I'm intrigued to see what this driver could do, because he has been up and down in terms of pace, inconsistent. He's got a 27.941 in the first set. I'm not quite sure that's good enough, but he went wide through Brooklands there as well, but luckily did not ruin his lap time. Oh, he spins! Mum and Nick has spun, but saves it, and did a Sebastian Vettel back in 2021 when he lit up the rear tyres. I expected better from Mum and Nick, because he did a race in Silverstone in Spain, and he looked rather competitive as well, so I expect him to have some information for this track, but went for a little bit of a spin, and that has completely wrecked his chances of completing that. Look at that, there's 4 minutes left to go in the session, not much time on the board, and you can ill afford any mistakes. This qualifying session has absolutely blitzed by indeed, and there's many drivers out here who were looking to improve and try and put themselves up the pecking order. Lucas goes up into P8, a bit disappointed for his standards, the man that finished P2 at the Australian Grand Prix and also finished P2 in Silverstone a couple of seasons ago. It was Kevin and Lucas first and second place. Happy Meal was third place as well. Happy Meal was hunted down both Williams, but I think he spun trying to hunt them down. But Lucas, a bit disappointment for him, and disencouraging as well for good measure. TVH Tim, as we know, he's a usual suspect who gets not attacked Q1. But to be fair though, he does put in some good performances. Like sometimes he gets himself inside the top 10 and try and get, well, when other people falter, he continues and he puts in some good results. I think his best finish I've seen him so far is P6. I'm not quite sure where that was. It was last season, but a driver who struggles in qualifying but perseveres through the race. Now, Kevin Soderberg is on his outlet. Let's see what the Red Bull driver could do. Here he is coming to Magnus Becker's Chapel, and I can't wait to see how much he improves as well. And he's on the softcore powered tyres too, so most people then transferring over to the softcore powered tyres. Hopefully Lucas there in the Williams also jumps over to the softcore powered tyres. But let's see what Kevin could do then as we make our way now towards the final 3 corners on this racetrack. It's so important, so vital to get the tyre temperature in the working optimum window to produce that flying lap. Here comes Kevin, and out of the final corner we go, where we saw Alex Albon, and I think it was Kevin Magnussen and Albon crash there in 2020 in the Red Bull and the Haas, and Colapinto too recently went off there. As we now make our way through turn 1 and turn 2, flat out but boxed down with the overtake. Turn 3, the first braking zone. Here we come then, barely any steering lock there going towards turn 3, and he's backed off. Kevin Soderberg has backed off. Did he make a mistake? It wasn't obvious, or is he going for a second preparation lap?
Definitely seems like so. It looked like he was pushing on, but maybe wasn't really satisfied with the way he took those first couple of corners, and knows he's got the time in hand and probably the fuel as well to try and go for another one. So that is what he's going to try and do, and especially now with everyone out on track as well, it's going to be getting very busy. You don't want to be the one running into some traffic at the end of the lap when everyone is on their out lap. So a smart decision to back off and try again at the end of their laps. That it gets very busy out on track, of course, so it is short qualifying, and otherwise we would have seen some guys staying in the garage or retiring. So 17 drivers, Mominick the only one so far without a lap time, but he went back into the pit lane just in time and went back out on the softs, so he could still attempt to do a flying lap. But everyone is now on the softs. All the other laps were set on the mediums, apart from Fireblaze, so really cannot afford to invalidate on this lap, because everyone will be improving. Sasha starts his flying lap with around 70% battery, which is quite remarkable because that is quite low. Don't want to be starting with 30% disadvantage as he heads towards the braking zone there into Village, as he flicks his car to the right hand side and now back to the left, and want to be very cautious on throttle, otherwise you might lose traction like we saw with Mominick a few moments ago out of Lovefield. Not using too much battery there out onto the Wellington straight, and we see a 1/10 improvement in sector 1 and 700ths of a second as well. So decent start to his flying lap, but we don't know how good it is because everyone set their lap times on the mediums. He might get a bit of a slipstream from the McLaren. That is TVHNL. Hopefully he's going to get out of the way. Yes, he does. There on the right hand side as he goes now through Cobb's corner. And very tight to the inside there, doesn't really run out wide onto the curb like we usually see in Cobbs. Now going through Maggots and Beckett's. Let's see how much time he can gain through here with this grip advantage on the soft compound tire, using the battery on the exit. Now he's up by 0.2 of a second, so he gained exactly 1/10 of a second in the middle part of the lap. Is it going to be enough though? At the moment he is just under 1/10 of a second behind Kevin, but with only 0.2 up, I'm not sure if it's going to be enough to stay in pole position. He might get the fastest lap, but the question is if it's going to be enough as he goes now through this final chicane on throttle one last time. And Sasha, he is going to go quickest. It's going to be a 26.8 with a very good final sector. Gains at least 2/3 of a second. And he's the first driver to break into the 126s. But Kevin is already 4/10 up in the middle sector. And he's getting a very nice slipstream indeed from one of the RBs. He's going to get out of the way right now. And he needs to get at least a 1/10 of a second in the final sector to get that pole position back from the Haas driver on his second run now in towards the final chicane as he hits the inside go very hard indeed. That might lose him a bit of time. Is it going to be enough though as he comes out of the final corner? Kevin is going to cross the line and he misses out by 0.006 of a second. That final few corners really cost him as Erik can only manage P3 by 3/10 of a second, and Mark goes P4. Now all the times are going to start coming in, but 0.006 of a second separating the two at the front. Fireblaze, he has backed off. Bassi goes only P5. What about Enzo Max? He goes P4. Now half a second away comes Sam in the Williams. He goes to the second row with a P3, 27.0. Now, is there anyone else who can try and defeat the time that we've seen from Sasha? I don't think so. Dominic can only go P12. And I think that's about it for all the good times. Happy Meal still on lap. And he's improving by almost 0.4 of a second, but that's not going to be enough to beat Sasha. Can he get himself at least inside the top 5? Maybe, but a good final result. Yes, he does. P5 for the Alpine driver. That leaves only Mels to try and improve. He's currently down at P16. He's been struggling so much. He goes up to P7 though, with a good final lap. And TVHNL is going to be the final driver to try and improve. He's currently down in P17. Is he going to stay there? Is he going to find an improvement? The answer is going to be P17, and he stays there. So Sasha takes pole position, but wow, look at the difference. 0.006 of a second ahead of Kevin, and he looks to be quite happy with that.
Indeed, Kevin Soderberg had a lot of moment going into towards the final 3 corners, collapsed to the curb, unset of the car, and unfortunately lost time through there. He'll be fuming, but there's still the sprint race to go, there's still a feature race to go, so there's plenty of time for redemption there for Kevin Soderberg, who's looking to try to take his first win of the season. Only won one race last season and took 10 the season prior, where he won the championship and obliterated the competition. But Sasha stopped up pole position ahead of Kevin Soderberg in P2. Sam, great qualifier for him, also getting JSR Green ahead of Erik, Hapmiel, Enzo Max, Miles Marcus up into P7, Mark P8, David, well, welcome to the league, David. He's up into P9, inside the top 10, another Dutchman. Bassi, P10, also new to the league as well. I think he raced the JSR. Gull, who's also new. Fireblaze, Lucas, Dominic, Octavia, Olai, and TVH, and now Tim, who will start down in last place. So we had a sprint race in the actual F1 where it was Lewis Hamilton who took pole position, but Anthony just beat him and won the race ahead of Lewis Hamilton as well. It looks a bit cloudy out here in Silverstone, which is a completely opposite here in the UK itself, because in the UK it is not that it's hot, but it's not as hot as it used to be. It's moderate temperature, like 27 degrees, whereas other spirits can't handle the heat. Because I think a couple of weeks ago it was like 35, 36, 38, but luckily for us it's started to cool down a little bit now as well, with the heat wave still affecting, still hot, but we can still, it's just bearable now, manageable. It's we were dying in the heat as well, and in the Netherlands as well. When I was in the Netherlands I was dying too. It was like 38, 40 degrees, no joke, and yeah, I could not survive in that weather. And I was supposed to do a 24-hour race, as you guys know, but luckily it got cancelled as well, because I was thinking to myself, I'm going to die here in Eindhoven. I might have to go to the hospital in the Netherlands because I might get a heat stroke, but luckily that didn't happen. And when I was close to the engines as well in the practice session, it was scorching hot, and a few engines broke down, and it was deemed unsafe. And the governing body of Eindhoven had to cancel the race, which was, I think, it was disappointment. But at the same time, it's for safety reasons too. Safety is very important. I know MotoGP and Assen went on. What a race in MotoGP as well. Assen is an absolute amazing track. I know most of you guys aren't really MotoGP fans, but Assen is a classic track, and there's always amazing battle. That configuration of the racetrack always sets up to be a good race. But back to Silverstone, the 4-5 lines are underway, and we get racing here in Silverstone for the sprint race. The Haas gets a good look, but here comes the Williams of Sam, taking Kevin on around the outside. So, there's a spinner, it's Happybill and Sasha. Is that him off the track? No, it's not. It's the other Haas's Bark who's gone off the track. A 3-second penalty already in this race. The two Red Bulls go side by side. That's the two champions of SDN, 7 and 6 champions. Oh no! Contact has been made. Eric there is forced into a spin. Kevin Zunderberg abruptly shut the door on the outside there. As we make our way down towards Brooklyn as we go, Eric is driving to frustration. All these guys are bagging wheels indeed, trying to jostle for position on the first lap of the Grand Prix, but there's already contact between Kevin and Eric, and it already tells you the relationship between those two as well. I'm not quite sure Kevin knew. He should have known Eric was there, or Eric should have backed out, but Kevin was leaving no mercy for his Dutch teammate. The two champions there get themselves bothered. Here comes the Cadillac off the inside. That's not Mercedes, sorry. Miles Makis gets past Max. Do you know what? For some reason, I'm not wearing my glasses, so I am blind at the moment. My vision is hindered, so apologies about that one. But Sam Hogeland, Sam in second place, is on the mini-cup tyre, the better tyre than Sasha, so he should be quick at this stage. It's only it's only 9 laps in this race, and I'm surprised the people have opted for the hardcore power tyres. But that's like Max Verstappen who went off there, and that's Eric. Eric has gone for a spin. This has been had a horrendous first start, no doubt about it, for the Dutchman. Eric, who got compromised by his own teammates who turned 3 and 4, has unfortunately tumbled out the order. There's more contact. What on earth is going on here? At the British GP, it's a sprint race, but oh my goodness me, it's explosive. It's a volatile first lap of the race, and it's lap 2 already, so hopefully in the future race it all calms down. Back at the Hungarian Grand Prix, that's when everything kicked off, and there's Happy on a goal going side by side as we see the Aston Martin going squirrely on the exit there, and Christian has promoted himself up into P8, but no he hasn't, because here comes the Aston Martin again, and here comes the Williams of Lucas down the inside too. These two have a bit of history. Mels and Max swapping places too for P5 and P6. Up the road they go. Where are they? There they are. I think Enzo Max has got himself ahead of Mels Makis, and Max is up into P5. What a chaotic event for first lap that was, Milan.
Yeah, there was two V-car boys who were, well, the main cause of it. There was Oliver, he was spun around on the exit of the final corner. He tried to make it 3 wide through the final corner, and he was on the inside, and so the contact was inevitable. He spun around, and Enzo Max, he was very slow coming out of Stowe corner, and then Mark trying to go around the outside, and it was Erik on the inside who may have touched, I think, the side of the RB, and then spun around into the wall. So very, very unlucky indeed from Erik, who drops all the way down the order, down to P16 as Farblaze gets now ahead of Mels, who's trying to go for a switchback, but that's not quite going to work out. But that was where Erik's race really became undone, well, or it did, when he made contact with Kevin very early on the opening lap. It's not going to be any points in the sprint race for the Red Bull driver, unfortunately, as it's going to come into pit lane at the end of this lap. You can see quite a mix of tyre choice between these drivers. There's a lot of medium runners, as expected, but also quite a few hard runners, which is, well, what you usually see, especially not when you want to use the hard tyres in the main race. So all the drivers who are now on the hards probably only going to have one set of hard tyres to use in the main race later on. So that is going to be quite interesting, as Sam has half a look at the inside of Sasha now. He is on the medium, Sasha is on the hard tire, so he should have a bit of a tire advantage at this stage of the race. But can he make use of that tire? Can he get ahead of the Haas? And can he try and build a gap, which is also difficult in with these cars to build a gap over someone else. Really have to get them out of that 1 second window. So Kevin is also quite close behind in P3. He's also on the hard tires. And then it's David a little bit further behind in the Alpine. But still within 1 second of the Red Bull. Then a bit of a gap towards Enzo Max, who had that moment on lap 2. But he's trying to bring that gap back down as Mels and Faraday is still fighting it out for P6 and 7. It's the Mercedes on the hards, the Ferrari on the mediums. So I do wonder if those on the mediums will start to fall off at the time. But that is Kevin into the back of the Williams. He not sure if he's got damage. He was trying to go up the inside, but it was a little bit of a late move, as it was Sam who was slowing down because of the battery management. Kevin tried to go up the inside, but hit the back of the Williams. But I don't think he's got front wing damage, but that was quite a bit of a close moment between those two, as he's starting to close that gap towards the Williams drivers. David has lost the connection, and Sam is right at the back now of Sasha. But is he going to try and go for that move for the race lead, or is he just going to sit behind, because he knows he needs to keep these tires alive to still have any chance of winning this sprint race, using the battery coming out of turn 4. Now he's going to have half a look maybe at the inside of Sasha in towards the braking zone. Has a look on the inside, it's going to be later on the brakes, very close between the two. Sasha gives him the space, but it is Sasha later on the brakes and maintains that position for the time being. But Kevin is really close in the background as well, as he is starting to put the pressure on the Williams driver. Here he comes then towards Cobb's corner. Is he going to go to the inside? And we're going to go side by side through Cobb's. Kevin on the inside, and he is going to make it work. It's a beautiful move from the Red Bull, putting himself in second place. Now having a look at Sasha up ahead, but Sam has dropped down to P3. Great fight between these two, very clean indeed. And Kevin now putting himself in second place.
Kevin muscles his way past there, and now his next target is right in front of him. His championship rival is there for the taking. Will Sasha go defensive? No, he doesn't, because Kevin Sundberg just sits behind and waits for the right moment, the right time. He's used a lot of batteries, so he wants to save that too. As we see in the background there, a few cars just jostling for position there, trying to pick up the minor pieces. Davis lost that connection, like you said, 1.2 seconds behind. Fireblaze on the back of Max. He is ill, Fireblaze. He won the British Grand Prix a few seasons ago. He is ill right now. Whatever is wrong with Fireblaze, I hope he gets well. And now he's under pressure from Mels Marquez. Two former teammates go side by side through the first and second corner. They bang wheels and they barge each other. The Racing Bull's under attack too, but there's still a battle there. The Ferrari has the outside line converted to the inside line, but Mels Marquez is not willing to give up. He backs off. Fireblaze remains in P6. Miles Marquez will fancy his chance once again, but back towards the front, because here comes Sam on a move. No, he doesn't. He settles behind and stays behind, but Miles Marquez is still pressurising Fireblaze. These two do not have a good relationship, as we saw last season too. Fireblaze is not happy with his own team, or former teammate of Miles Marquez, who's still in the Mercedes. A bit of controversy between those two, and adversity as well for good measure, as Fireblaze felt that his teammate did not give him any favours despite him giving him favours. And Fireblaze there, Miles Marquez, probably have a bit of heat from last season, and once again they exchange positions, and Miles Marquez is ahead of Fireblaze. Fireblaze and Miles Marquez have struggled massively this season. They were super quick, they've always been quick, but on this new configuration of game, they just started to drop back and lose pace and haven't found their feet yet. Max goes up into P4 ahead of David. The Dutchman replaces another, and he goes up into 4th place. Decent move, but David's on the attack again, but settles behind him for the time being. Mum and Nick in the background there, getting past Olai in P11. The former race winner is Olai. I think the Chinese Grand Prix he won a couple of seasons ago. And here comes the race ball of Mum and Nick. Down the inside of Mum and Nick as he puts himself up to 11. Do you know what? Before the next race starts, I'm going to run and get my glasses because I cannot see anything. Everything is so blurry, so my apologies. Miles Marquez on the attack on David. David there, not phased. He stays on his racing line. He doesn't rebel against him, but you can see the Racing Bull and Max under massive pressure as the guys behind have the battery and the overtake too. Miles Marquez used a burst of battery, making David aware And let's see what he does going down in towards Buckley as we go. Miles Mackis has been attacking in this race. Where did he start? He started at a P7, so he's only made a one place so far in this race. As we see Kevin Zollberg right behind Sasha. Will he go for a move just like he did on Sam on the previous laps? No, he waits for the right moment. It's lap 6 out on 9 as we go through Cops we go. Famous corner Cops as we saw Carlos Sainz and Grosjean crash there into the 18 and Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton too. We can see that Kevin Zollberg is right on the gearbox of Sasha. He is well within his wheel tracks, and now the straight mode activated, the battery being used. Sasha's under pressure. Will Kevin go for a move going down into Stowe? No, he does not. He has stayed behind him for the time being there, so he's being patient. Kevin knows the long game as well. It's a high-speed game of chess at this point in the race there as well. Not going for any sort of rash moves, being conservative. His main target was to get past Sam, and now he's past Sam. He's just waiting for the final moments in this race to overtake Sasha. Well, we're on lap 7 out of 9 here, Milan.
Indeed, the battle is also still going on for P4 with that train now led by Enzo Max. David 3 tenths behind now, looking potentially at a move on the inside of the RB, but he's run out of battery, so not going to be easy. As Mel's very close there in the background to the Alpine. Now Lucas having a look around the outside as well of the Mercedes. Lucas and Mel's both on the hard tires. Everyone else in this train on the medium, so they should have the tire advantage at this stage of the race. Fireblaze is dropping behind a little bit now, 5 tenths of a second. If you can see that Mels and Lucas are more in attack towards these guys, as Mel's now having half a look at the inside through Lovefield. No, really not space there on the inside for the Mercedes on the back of the Alpine. Now with the help of some battery use, it's going to try and go for the move potentially in towards Cobb's corner. Once again we go side by side, and once again it's the Mercedes now on the inside, and he gets the move done as Kevin has got ahead of Sasha on the exit of Cobb's corner. So Sasha letting the Red Bull driver through, and it probably wants to sit behind for now and then re-overtake on that final lap with the help of boost mode. It was the other way around last week around Melbourne, where he was the one leading onto the final lap. Let's see what it's going to try and do now. It's Lucas and David fighting it out. Lucas comes sailing it around the outside, and Mels now sends one up the inside of Enzo Max into Stowe corner. There's a bit of contact between the two, and the RB holds it around the outside, but now Mels is going to try and go around the outside in towards Chicane. That's going side by side, and look at that. What a dive, what a send there from Enzo Max. Looks like he was behind in the braking zone. Here comes Lucas up the inside of Mels through the final corner. So close between these two, and Lucas using his battery, but not quite close enough, and has to settle back behind the Mercedes as Fireblaze has got past David now as well. It drops from P4 down to P8 in only a few corners time. Now he's got Happy Meal up the inside as well. It's down to P9 we go, and there's almost 3 abreast up ahead as Kevin and Sasha are fighting it out for the race lead. Kevin is back ahead of the Red Bull, of the Haas in the Red Bull. And now Sasha will try to come back potentially on the penultimate lap of this race. So it's going to be about who's going to be ahead. And here we go, sends one up the inside of Lovett, but he loses the backhand slightly there. But Kevin should have the exit advantage there earlier on throttle. And Kevin remains in the lead of this race. But the question is for how much longer. Here comes Sasha once again up the inside now of Scott's corner. Kevin letting him through, and Sasha back into the lead of this race. On the previous lap, it was where Kevin overtook Sasha. But now he is going to sit behind. He's going to be the one probably wanting that boost mode onto the final lap of this race, as Lucas has put himself now into P4, but is there where he wants to be? That is the question. Ahead of Enzo Max, ahead of Mels in P6. It's so close between all of these guys, as once again Kevin is very close to the back of the Haas. Sasha defends the inside, but Kevin tries to have a look of the inside. Sasha leaving the space, going a little bit wide in towards Stowe. He's going to try and defend the inside now. Kevin is having a look on the inside once again, but he is going to sit behind, and that is going to make up for a very interesting final lap of this sprint race. Sasha is the one out in front. Kevin is the one pursuing. Who is going to win the sprint race here in Silverstone?
It's been dramatic. It's been eventful. Here comes Kevin on the inside towards turn 1. He's done it. He's got past him. And will Sasha fight back immediately in towards turn 2? Not letting the brakes, they lifted off to turn 2 to try and save some battery as they go wheel to wheel through turn 3 now. Through the loop we go. Bit of contact between those two. Rubbing is racing as they say, but Sasha seems like he got more battery, or level battery. Goes off the track there, and Kevin has the advantage of overtake. Sasha doesn't, as we make our way down towards Buckley's we go. Buckley's. Kevin going around the outside, and now has the inside line. He broke so late. Carried the momentum on the outside to have the inside line from Luffield. Can he get through? Almost gets through, and Sam goes off the track, but these two remain in combat. Who will get ahead before Cops? Do a wheel to wheel, and Kevin Zollberg gets past Sasha, or does he? Sasha trying to hold on the outside, but now this is going to be a battery race all the way down towards Stowe we go. So who has saved the most battery here? Look at this, down the inside, unbelievable, but Kevin's in the back. Oh, there's contact between the two, and Sam, where is he? There he goes, he gets past him. Sam is up into first place, those two make contact, and they're still wheel to wheel. This is unbelievable. I actually thought this whole race is only the sprint race too, and Sasha holding him on the outside too for good measure. But let's see who goes first in the braking zone, and it's a late dive. Kevin gets pushed off the track, and Sasha there has the advantage. Here comes Lucas. Oh my goodness me! But Sam in the Williams wins the sprint race here in Silverstone. He took advantage of those two making contact, and Sasha and Kevin Zuckerberg, the first bit of drama in this heated championship battle. It's only round 2 as well here in SDN, so it's only round 2, and we've already got our elbows out here as well. If this is like this in the second race of the season, just imagine the whole season where everything's on the line and the championship is there too for the grabbing. Lucas goes up into P4 despite a horrendous qualifying session, and it's Sam how do you say his last name?
Hogeland.
Hogeland.
Or wait, no, Hogeboom. Excuse me.
Hogeboom. I like that name, Hogeboom. It seems like a very good name indeed. You don't want to say on a plane. You don't want to say on a plane, Hoogaboom. Yeah, you don't want to say that on the plane. But Sam Hoogaboom has won. I love that name. Sam has won the British sprint race, I must say. Sasha P2 ahead of Kevin Zuckerberg, Lucas, Miles, Enzo, Max, Happy Meal, Fireblaze, David, and Ollie ran off the top 10. And there is the rest of the classification. It's a shame Eric wasn't involved in that battle, but he got wiped out by his teammate Kevin Zuckerberg. Kevin Zuckerberg seems like he was driving angrily in the race as well. He was not willing to back down, and I wonder what's happened to him as well, because we don't really see Kevin Zuckerberg being this aggressive as well. But Sasha made a lunge up the inside in the most unexpected place. You don't really see side-by-side action, but that's the battery for you as well. I don't think I have time to get my glasses, so looks like I'm going blind again here. My vision is hindered indeed, and everything's blurry. So, it's another qualifying session, so I do have plenty of time. I'll be right back, Milan.
No problem. So we prepare ourselves for the second qualifying session of the evening. This time it is normal qualifying, so 18 minutes in contrast to, I think it was 12 minutes for the sprint qualifying. So a little bit more time for these drivers to get their lap times and a little bit less pressure than in the sprint qualifying. Of course, after this will come the main race, and that is where the most points are going to be scored. So this qualifying session will be quite important, as always. And we're going to see who is going to come out on track. It's quite overcast, so I don't think it's any rain in sight, for at least for this qualifying session. As you see, one of the Williams drivers, he is going to go out early. In fact, both Williams drivers are going to go out, and Lucas is going to go out on a set of hard tires. So that is quite an interesting choice. I'm not sure why he would go out on the hards. Probably want to use them in the race later on, but he's choosing to go onto the hards right now for some weird reason. Not going to matter, because this lap time is not going to bring him pole position, but he just wants to get a feel of his car, that is for sure. And a teammate, Sam, the winner of that sprint race by a bit of fortune, he's gone out as well. He is onto the mediums, so it looks like we're going to see some banker laps set, and these first lap times not really going to be any representative. Olivo is out on the soft compound tire though, so is Octavia, and Mels also out on the soft tires, and we're going to see which of these drivers will set the first banker lap of this qualifying session. So we're going to wait for everyone to go out on track. Is it going to be Sasha versus Kevin again? Those two really the stars of not only the sprint qualifying session, but of the sprint race as well. Really seem to be the ones in control. Erik does have the pace, of course, but doesn't really quite have the luck on his side so far. But maybe that can change around for him. In this qualifying session, just needs to get himself a good lap in. And for what I've heard from Erik is that there might be rain incoming at the end of the race later on tonight, so that is going to be quite interesting.
Indeed, and I was going to mention the weather too, because it's getting cloudy and cloudy double a second, and these guys, the temperature will drop as well, so I wonder how that affect the track. The track is a brand new session, it will be green, so these guys will have to find their feet once again in this session. Lucas is on the hard compound tyres, a few people on the hard compound tyres too. This sprint format really confuses me in terms of tyres as well, because I'm not quite sure how many tyres they have in their allocation and how much they can use as well. So they've got to be really careful in terms of picking the tyres and not wasting them. You can't afford a pit stop and you can't afford contact as well in a sprint race. But I love the format where it's a short qualifying session, a sprint race, and the sprint race determines your where you start in the future race. I don't really like a new qualifying session, but everything's been reset to 0 then. So hopefully these guys can have a new setup or change and tweak the setup to their liking and ability as well, because I think you can do that from the last session to this session. So maybe these guys might do some changes to their cars and be better in this qualifying session. It's 18 minutes long, so in the other session, some drivers could only do 1 or 2 laps and only 1 lap on the soft compound tyres, and that's really pressurizing indeed, because you got 1 lap to perform on the soft compound tyres. If you mess up, then you probably started backwards down the field there. So everything's been reset to 0, and hopefully we can have a nice clean qualified session and race to go, because it just got too intense in the previous race in the sprint. I was not quite sure what happened there, but it looks like all the drivers lost their heads. Sometimes that can happen, because obviously in the previous seasons we've seen that happen before on multiple occasions. Sometimes you can have a very quiet race where nothing's happening and everything's happening at once with every single driver there just battling it out. I wonder how Eric will respond in the race, it must be said. Lucas goes across the line, a 28.162 on those hardcore power tyres. They're obviously not the quickest time we've seen, as Sam Hookabum goes up into first place. Now Mark replaces him with a 26.672, and he's 5 thousandths quicker. So Octavia now goes quicker by 1/10 of a second in the Cadillac. So all the drivers there filing through one by one, and Mels Makis now displaces him as he goes towards the top of the pecking order. Those guys opted to go to soft compound tyres immediately at this stage in this session. We've got a few people, one person out there on the Inspire compound tyres. Maybe those inters need to be used later on in the session, in the race session, it must be said. But these guys get 3 sets of the Inspire compound tyres to use for the whole weekend, and hopefully, well, they should do. They should have enough tyres as well. As Kevin Soderberg goes P3 with a 27.5, that's compared to lap time. It's only 5 milliseconds away from Octavia in P2 there. As we know, Kevin Soderberg is on a charge. But me and Kevin had a conversation in the DMs about qualifying and the race with this new gate, or this new DLC and the battery. Because somebody could be like 8 tenths away or 1 second off in qualifying, but in the race, they're attacking you and they're so close. That's because every single driver here is not pushing to the best full capability. In qualifying, you push flat out. Well, sometimes you do, but you have to do a bit of LICO too. But in the race, you do more LICO and saving, because the battery is so important. Because if you've got no juice in the tank or no boost in the tank, then you're pretty much vulnerable and screwed over, and you'll lose a lot of time in the race too. And that's what me and Kevin were talking about in the DMs, about drivers who are not necessarily quick being up there too, because they're using more battery, they're probably not lifting a coaster that other people are, and they're getting involved. That's why we see so many people swapping and changing. That's why we see so many people attacking in random places. If it was the old configuration, if it's the old layout of the ground effect cars, you will not see moves going towards Magnus and Beckers unless somebody goes side by side through Luffield Cops and Magnus and Beckers, are fair enough. But in terms of overtaking there, like down the inside, no way, because usually you wait for the straight for DRS and use your battery there. But it's all changed on this game, and many people don't like it, including myself. Some people do like it because they're good at it, they're very clever and tactical in terms of knowing when to use the battery, but it can be jarring sometimes. It can be frustrating as well, because you're having to think constantly on your feet. You got to attack and defend, you're being pushed backwards from first to fourth or wherever. We saw David go from P4 to P9, just overwhelmed, and swarmed by the guys behind him, and fall backwards in the race too, as Lucas has left the session. So hopefully he can get himself back in there. His teammate Kick is not here tonight. Kick, the former race winner here at the British GP and a champion of SDN as well. He is having a good time in Bangkok in the Netherlands. No, in Thailand, sorry, completely different country. I wasn't born in Thailand, but I am half Thai myself, and I went to Thailand when I was about 3-4 years old. But young me doesn't remember that. But there is a picture of me somewhere running around the beach with an ice cream in my hand, stuff in my face. But yeah, I don't remember it at all. But it is a nice country. Bangkok is absolutely beautiful as well, and I really hope that Kick is having an amazing time as well. Hopefully he doesn't get too fun with you know what in Bangkok. But anyways, Happy Meal is now going through this middle sector, a 3.7. He was competitive up there. I think he started at P5, I think, in the sprint qualifying results. As we now make our way down towards Stowe we go. Let's see what the RP driver could do as we now tackle these final 3 corners. Get this guy into Sky Sports. Well, I would love to be, but the possibility of that is very, very slim. And if I was in Sky Sports, as Happy Meal jumps up into P2, if I was in Sky Sports F1, I would definitely be unbiased because I have no favourite driver. My favourite driver was Sebastian Vettel, but I don't show no biasness towards anybody. I'm very stern in terms of my opinions, very, very honest indeed and brutal. But yeah, Sky Sports F1, it's not really that great. It's not really that great, Sky Sports F1, because of the obviously we know the biasness and yeah, everything that goes on there as well. I know a lot of people don't watch Sky Sports F1 in the Netherlands. They have Viaplay, but I like the F1. Is it F1 TV? Yeah, I like F1 TV itself because I like Alex Jakes, Jodie Palmer, and David Coulthard. I actually watched those guys as well because once a year it goes live, F1 TV on Channel 4 in the UK, and I watched it, and it's always amazing the commentary as well. I love those 3. But Martin Brundle as well, I really like that guy. He's an expert. He's been around since 1990, former F1 driver, has picked up 9 podiums in his F1 career and turned into a commentator alongside Murray Walker and Crofty as well, as he's now known for it, known for being the Sky Sports F1 commentator. He is a legend as well. But, you know, the Sky F1 team itself is a bit of a mess and needs fixing. Here comes Sasha coming towards the final 3 corners. Let's see what he could do. Can he go sneller? The answer is yes. A 26.993. Sasha is on provisional pole position. We have 2 more. We have 2 Mongols in Viaplay, so you can take their places. Well, when I was in the Netherlands, I was watching the Austrian Grand Prix at my mate's house for Viaplay. And when I was listening to their comms, my mate was translating, and he said that their comms wasn't exactly brilliant. You guys used to have what's his name? Olaf for Ziggo Play. And one of my mates I know works with Olaf for a radio station or whatever he does. And it's an amazing podcast, even though I don't understand it because it's in Dutch. But yeah, Olaf Mol was a great commentator for Ziggo Sport. I think it was indeed. And now I'm listening to Viaplay. I was listening to Viaplay, and these guys don't really have like a good working connection indeed. Like they don't really talk much. They only talk minimum, and they have big gaps in between as well. There's loads of breaks. Like when I was watching the Netherlands for the race in Austria, there was so many breaks. I was like, what the hell? And it was so frustrating as well because I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And plus, I was deaf at the time as well. I was deaf with an ear infection, and yeah, it wasn't really that great to listen to either for the commentary. Here comes Kevin Soderberg. He's going to go sneller, and Kevin stopped pole position. Amazing lap time there for the Dutchman, 1 tenth ahead of Sasha. But Milan, I think you have a great possibility of going to Viaplay. I think you would do really well, mate, there. You should do it.
I appreciate it, but definitely a long way to go, that is for sure. But I would like to give it a try, of course. I do enjoy commentary, so even in Dutch and English, I've done it both times, a bit more recent. I've done it in Dutch as well for other leagues, so I definitely enjoy doing that, of course, but for more professionals. But yeah, same for Sky Sports, you know, it could get better with you with you on their team, you know, so there's always improvements to be found, but who knows? The future is well, we've got a long future ahead of us, so who knows what we will experience and what we'll get to do. Of course, Lelystad was an amazing experience, and hopefully we can get to do something like that quite soon as well. But in this qualifying session, it has flown by. We're down to 6 minutes in the session. Kevin finds himself now at the front of the field, of course, with a 26.8. Only himself and Sasha are the only drivers in the 26s, but Erik is, I think, starting his flying lap. Yes, he is. He's down in P16, just like where he finished his sprint race. I think he had that incident, of course, with Kevin, and later on with Enzo Max and Mark as well. But he's trying to redeem himself now in this qualifying session. We know that he is quick. He can be very quick in qualifying, but now it's just his time to prove it, as he found 2.7 tenths of a second in Sector 1. Of course, his first lap time was on the hard tires, so not going to be any representative to what we've seen from the likes of Kevin and Sasha. But can he get himself near time of his teammate? Can he get himself inside the 26s. To be honest, Mel's in P3 with a 27.1. That's actually quite a decent lap time from someone who has been struggling quite a lot on this game, especially in qualifying. He was 7th in the sprint race, but last week in Australia, I think he was nowhere in qualifying either. So good to see that he is finding his feet now as well on this game, just ahead of Mark and Samus. Erik now down the back straight. He's 1 second up on his time, but well, that's still going to be a 27.8, which would only put himself in P12, so he needs to find, well, probably at least a second more in this final sector, which is going to be easier said than done as he hits the curb on the inside, just like Kevin did in the sprint qualifying. Coming out of the final corner, what's it going to be for Erik? He's going to cross the line. It's going to be P5, 27.232, putting himself 15,000 of a second behind Mark and just ahead of Sam. The question is if he does have the time to go for another run. There's only 5 minutes remaining, so I think he could make it in time if he gets his he goes quickly back into the pit lane in this in lap, as Guillaume has gone in P7 in the Aston Martin with a 27.4. It's very, very close in the midfield, as it usually is, as Lucas now goes P4, 2,000 ahead of Mark, and the gap between himself and Lifeboat is only 0.3 of a second between P4 and P10. That's just how close it is. And then it's Fireblaze in P11, who has only set 1 lap time so far. I think it was, I'm not sure if it was on the soft tires, but he seems to be struggling a little bit as well. Enzomax just behind in P12, and the 2 Audis from Muminick and Bossy. Muminick really not the same driver that he was a couple of a week or 2 ago when we saw him race in Silverstone in another league. He was really competitive back then, but definitely seems like he is struggling again. Unfortunately, finds himself back in P15. I think he finished just inside the top 10 in the sprint race, but at the moment finds himself towards the back of the field, where we unfortunately have seen him so many times, especially in his kick sour days in the last couple of seasons. But we have seen some peaks from him, and hopefully we get to see many of them very, very soon indeed. As Kevin, once again, like in the sprint qualifying, has gone out early, but maybe he is going to do 2 warm-up laps and then push on for his final fly lap. But this time around, he's got a little bit more of an advantage ahead of Sasha. 1.5 tenths of a second is the difference between the two. Mels is only 2.5 tenths behind in P3, but I don't think he is going to be fighting it out for one position. But who knows what he can do, and what can Lucas do, of course. He was very quick last week at Melbourne, as he fakes himself going into the pit lane. Not sure what he was doing, as he now cuts across the grass once again. So a bit of a strange moment there for Lucas, but he gets back into the pit lane just in time. And at the moment, Kevin and Muminick, the only 2 drivers out on track. I think Kevin is gonna go for another one, but we've got 3 minutes to go in this qualifying session. Who is going to take pole? Is it going to be Sasha again, or can Kevin fight back after their intense battle in the sprint race?
Indeed then. So Kevin, the only one out in the circuit. Muminick has just joined the circuit. He's done a cop, so opposite end of the track. Kevin Soderberg rounds the final corner. Here we go then. This could be his potential last final lap. Is he going to do a second out lap? No, he's not. Do the battery immediately. Here we go then. This is it for Kevin Soderberg as we flick our way down towards turn 1 and turn 2 flat out. The box down a little bit of speed. That's why I hate seeing the battery going down like that. As we now make our way down towards turn 3, a bit of light coming process there as he flicks the car in. Coming through turn 4, he has backed off like he did in the sprint qualifier. So this is a second preparation lap. These tyres need to be warmed up, fully gripped up. The track should be at its peak now. It should be purple, and we'll see if Kevin Soderberg can take pole position. As we see then, other people out there, Muminick is the next one to cross the line. Here he comes then. Let's see what the Dutchman could do. Muminick making his way now towards the final couple of corners on this racetrack. He was in the Kick Sauber last season with his teammate Ticey, and he picked up a handful of good results too. He's never won a race around here in his own league, but he's got a long way to go to do that. It would be lovely to interview Nick and for him to get a podium and win, but that's a long journey to go for him as he makes his way out of the loop. So he is pushing on, but he's got a whole load of traffic. He's just negotiating his way past. Luckily, they get out of the way. Nice and respectful. The Aston Martin, please get out of the way as we now make our way down towards Brooklyn. He flicks it in 4th gear. The Aston Martin there on the outside just gets out of the way, but a bit of weird corner to go through 2nd gear. I've never seen people in Luffield go through 2nd gear in that Pacific corner, so it looks like Nick has got different preferences and views on that one as we now make our way through across we go through 7th gear. A little bit of Lyco too to try and save some battery. 20% battery. Hapmeal said in the comment section that he hates the battery. He's so irritated. I think that's everybody's opinion as well, because when the battery goes to 0%, you feel like you're so sluggish and so slow. And Mummy Nick is quicker in the middle sectors by 0.3 of a second, but that could promote him up into P9 or P10 around Olai, half mil or gold territory. So he needs to spend a bit more time to improve up the order, as every single driver barring TVH&L is on the circuit. 30 seconds left to go in qualifying. Mummy Nick makes his way around the final corner. Let's see if we can go up into P11. He's just, oh my goodness, the exact same lap time as Olai in P10. He was just on the periphery of being inside the top 10, but unfortunately for him, it hasn't gone well. Kevin Zunderberg down in the first sector by almost 2/10 of a second. Olai's left the session, but Kevin is down in the first sector. Can he make up the ground? Is he saving battery? Because some people on the next laps have different ways to save a battery in different places, that maybe try and sacrifice a bit in the first part to make up the most in the second part. He's up to 40% here as we make our way now towards Maggots, Beckett and Chapel we go. This is a lovely, fantastic sequence of corners as we now see Kevin Zunderberg improve in the middle sector. He's gained a bit of time. Has Kevin, he is sneller through sector 2 as we now make our way towards Stowe we go in 5th gear. Opens up the corner very nicely, plants the power down as we go through the final 3 corners. This is tricky, these corners, because it's easily done. Messed up the rear. If you take too much curve, you might start the rear of the car. But let's see if Kevin can improve. The answer is yes. It's a 27.67. 26.7. There we go. Let me get my words out. But Sasha's going even quicker. Let's see if Sasha can retake pole like he did in the sprint qualifying race. Sasha now plants the throttle. Let's see what he can do. As he crosses the line, he doesn't take pole. He lost time in the final sector. Miles Makis jumps up into P3. What's the amazing lap time there? Sorry, that was half mil going to P4 there, ahead of Lucas. But Lucas and Miles Makis are still on their last flying run. We see Max go up to P9 in the Racing Bull. Miles Makis is next to cut the beam. Let's see what he can do. Sam up into P3, just like he did in the sprint. But let's see where Miles Makis ends up. P3 for Miles Makis. A man who has struggled. Lucas goes P4. But a man who has struggled in this new configuration and layout of this game has now put himself into P3. He'll be so happy. He's only 0.3 away from Kevin Zunderberg. That is a mighty improvement there for Miles Makis. He made a TikTok video and he explained his struggles he has on this game. He just couldn't get used to it at all, and I think he'll be jubilated with that result in P3. Much happier, and I think his confidence will definitely go up. So it is Kevin Zunderberg on pole, but Eric in P8, what a dismal qualifying for him as well, and he just couldn't piece it together and ends up down there in 8th place, a former champion or defending champion of SDN. But that's qualifying concluded. We now move on to the race, Milan.
Indeed, and it's the opposite of what happened in the sprint qualifying. In sprint qualifying, Kevin lost time in that final chicane where he clipped the inside curb, and in this qualifying session it was Sasha who lost time in that final chicane. He slid a bit in the middle of that final chicane, lost time, unfortunately missing out on pole position by 700ths of a second. So the rules are reversed now, with Kevin ahead of Sasha, and then Mels, he is a good 0.2 of a second behind, but in a good position to fight for a podium position with Lucas and Sam and Happy Meal. And of course Erik is going to want to try and go forward, but this time around he's probably not going to have to worry about Kevin on the opening few laps, because his teammate is far up the road in P1. So Erik, for him it's going to be a comeback drive to put himself back in contention, and he's probably going to still be in the fight for the podium if he doesn't get taken out, of course, like he did in the sprint race. He doesn't always have the luck on his side, but maybe that is going to be a turnaround for him in this main event. The sun is out, a few clouds up above, but no rain in sight for now. So if the weather predictions are correct, maybe we may see some rain then at the very end of the race, but at the moment it definitely doesn't seem like there's any rain incoming. Who knows if it can change? It definitely would spice up the end of the race, but at the moment it is very hot out there, and it's going to be everyone focusing on their normal strategies from mediums to hards, or maybe the other way around, as we see some drivers picking the hard tires. But what is it going to be? Is it going to be once again a monumental fight between Kevin and Sasha? Are the elbows going to be out once again? We're fighting very hard in a sprint race, and unfortunately collided, just like well, it reminds me a little bit of Hamilton and Verstappen. This rivalry is heating up between these two, and let's hope we're going to see much more of that. But it's going to be a longer race. You want to be managing a little bit more, so let's hope they're not going to be at each other's tails for the entirety of this race. If they are, then it's going to be well, probably a fight with many more drivers involved. But we can see that the most of the drivers are picking the hard tire to start on, so maybe they're hoping that the rain could come at the midpoint of the race and they could try and stretch their stint to go to the intermediates immediately. That could be what is happening. But here we go then for the Silverstone Grand Prix.
We had the race winning. 5 lights. And we are underway here at the British GP in Silverstone once again. Kevin Zuckerberg gets the mate to start the line there, not unchallenged. Yes, he is challenged by Sasha in the second phase. He's alongside him now, going through first and second corner flat out. But Sasha has the inside line, going down in towards turn 3. Kevin holding his line around the outside there too. The two Williams in combat, bit of contact between those two. And Sasha and Kevin there just trying to get ahead of each other. But Kevin just remains in the lead of the race. Miles Marquez has the other Hassan mark as we go 2 by 2. Noah's Ark headed down the 1 2 straight we go. Sasha changes lines, almost takes out. Look at this there. Both Hassans going side by side. Miles Marquez is completely swamped and boxed in, has nowhere to go. And Mark is up into P3 now. He's challenging his teammate Sasha, who has the outside line through Luffield and remains in P2. What a remarkable start there for Mark, who has jumped Miles Marquez. He's on the mini compound tyres though. That probably explains why he had a better grip, a better launch in comparison to other people. So he's using those mini compound tyres to his advantage. Max now up into P5 ahead of Lucas. This is a copy and repeat of the sprint race as well, with these guys they're just swapping and changing places every single time. We're going to settle into one big change in this race, and Max and Lucas there once again swapping places, as we see now Lucas going to P5. So the first lap of the race, or the first lap, is completed by Kevin Zuckerberg in the lead, Sasha in P2, Mark in P3. How aggressive is Mark going to be? Is he going to help his teammate? Is he going to work together, try and get the best possible result? Or is he going to stay behind? But in terms of selfishness and pride, he doesn't want to stay behind. He wants to capitalise on those mini compound tyres. I'm not quite sure how close those two are in terms of friendship and relationship there. But look at these. Oh, Miles Mack is on the inside of turn 2. Just fancy his chances. And Mark does not go for the attack in towards turn 3. He stays behind, but Mark's under a heap of pressure. Miles Marquez wants P3 back immediately, and we know how aggressive Miles Marquez is. He always goes for it, whatever chance he gets. And now, with the battery in play, with the straight mode available, as we now make our way down towards Brooklyn, Miles Marquez fancies a look down the inside, but stays behind. He doesn't need to attack this aggressively in the first part. It's lap 2. There's a long way to go in this race, and we see the Williams and Cadillac there involved in a skirmish for P8. That's Octavia. Octavia is inside the top 10. Well done to him as well. Now he's side by side with Happy. There's a bit of contact between those two, and Octavia has to yield and give way, but we see Happy just going wide there. That is Lucas. That's Eric, sorry, my bad. It's the Red Bull in front of us. So that's Eric getting ahead of Octavia. He moves up into P9. Sam Hogeland is up. Sam Hugeboom is up into P8. He's lost a load of places as Sam there as well. So not a good start to his campaign. Where did he start? He started in P5, has dropped into P8. Here comes the Mercedes trying to go around the outside in towards Stowe, but now has a better exit. Uses the boost. Mark covers him off, and he attacks down the inside, but Mark is a bit late to the brakes there, covers all the bases there to prevent Miles Marquez overtaking. So this is good defending for Mark, placing the car in the middle of the road and just braking later, but he's under all sorts of immense pressure for P3 as Miles Marquez there wants to get that back immediately, and he's looking more racy, looking more comfortable. Here we go down towards turn 3. Miles Marquez trying to move again, but has to stay behind. Will he do the Max Verstappen and overtake down the inside towards turn 4? He doesn't. Max Verstappen pulled off an amazing overtake down the inside of Isaac Hadjar to claim the whatever it was, P5 or P6, but unfortunately Verstappen spun out at Stowe, and was out of the race. Of course, safety car, which ended in controversy. And we've used that word before as well, didn't we, back in 2021. But the reason why that is because when the lap runners have to go past, the safety car has to stay out for one more lap, and that's what didn't happen in 2021. You know what? I'm not even going to talk about it, not to bring up any controversy, because I know these guys are Dutch and I'm British, but I was supporting Verstappen and win the championship back then in 2021, so give me a bit of leeway. But anyways, these guys so close together indeed. They didn't want to repeat what happened in 2021. That's the reason why they did it, and it could have been a spectacular end. It could have been Russell, who was been overtaken by Hamilton for P2, but that didn't happen. But anyways, Miles Marquez there on the attack once again, going down towards Stowe, and doesn't seize the advantage. Do you know what, Milan? I'll let you talk. Sorry about that, mate. Sorry.
No worries. So at the end now of a lap 3, it was a relatively clean start for everyone, apart from, unfortunately, one man, that is Fireblaze. He's down in P17. He got spun around, unfortunately, in the final chicane. when everyone was so bunched up together, as we see him move down the start-finish straight with Happy Meal and Enzo Max swapping positions. The Alpine is now ahead of the RB. The RB is on the medium tire, but just lost out to one on the hard tires. Look at that, as we got Mels and Mark once again fighting it out. Mels is going to try and go for the switchback, but just not quite get the traction right, as Mark still on those medium tires has the advantage over the Mercedes. But now he's run out of battery. Here comes the Mercedes up the inside, heading towards Brooklands as they go side by side. And it's the Mercedes on the inside, but Mark has the outside line, will turn to the inside for Lovefield, and is going to maintain that position. And there's Lucas having a look up the inside there of Mels, but now he gets a great exit, Mels, out of Lovefield. And Mark, with a battery disadvantage, will be under pressure in towards Cobb's corner, but he is just going to stay ahead. But this fighting is losing them the connection towards the top two. The gap's already 0.7 of a second, and it is growing rapidly now. So we could see Kevin and Sasha starting to check out of this races. Mark absolutely conserving that battery through Beckett's and Beckett's, and Mel's almost having to push the Haas through the corner now with the help of Straight Mount. Is going to try and go for that move down the hanger straight. Here he comes once again on the outside. We go side by side. Who's going to be latest on the brakes? Mel's around the outside, and this time around he does get the position and puts himself into P3. Neither of them have any battery remaining, but Mel's now ahead of Mark, who goes way too deep into the chicane and losing that connection. And now Lucas will try and have a go at the Haas. Lucas has got a full battery. Mark has cost almost nothing. So here comes the Williams, potentially down towards turn 1. He knows that is a big risk to go side by side through there, but now on the exit he's going to put himself alongside the Haas in towards the braking zone of turns 3 and 4. And there's a bit of contact between the two. Mark now is on the inside for the next turn, but Lucas should have the better exit there on the exit. And they go side by side, and Lucas now, with the help of the battery, is going to be able to get ahead of the Haas and puts himself into P4. So Mark slowly but surely starting to fall back, and will be under pressure from Happy Meal in the background. That is Enzo Max and Sam Hogebach once again fighting it out for position. The RB on the inside, the Williams on the outside, but Enzo Max able to maintain his position in P7. But Sam starting to put the pressure on, of course, the winner of the sprint race. As we see, Lucas now immediately has got up to the back of Mels, who had to save some battery, but still it's the advantage for Lucas. But the gap towards Kevin and Sasha now is 2.5 seconds towards these guys. So once again it's going to be a 2-horse fight, unless of course something happens like it did in the sprint race. But at the moment it seems like those two are going to be fighting out for the race win. Here comes Lucas on the outside of Mels. Is he going to have enough straight line speed to make that move? They go side by side, and Mels is going to let the Williams driver go, and Lucas putting himself in P3 as Happy Meal goes around the outside as well to take the position from Mark. But Mark tries to go around the outside. There's contact as Happy Meal on the inside of Mels. More contact now between himself and Mark as we go side by side through the final corner, wheel to wheel, and Happy Meal now is on the outside. Neither of them willing to back out, but eventually Mark has to as he run out of battery. Happy Meal now P5, but Mark looking to fight back as he goes to the outside into the braking zone. Happy Meal with the inside line. He's able to cover that almost 3 wide in the background there with Erik, Sam and Max fighting it out. And it's Enzo Max who is losing the position. Here comes Mark once again around the outside there. Happy Meal, what a move from the Haas driver. But once again he's completely run out of battery and will be struggling to defend against Happy Meal. Is now going to be put under pressure from Sam on the inside in towards Brooklands. Erik and Enzo Max are also fighting it out as they go side by side. Look at the fighting going on here in the midfield. It's absolutely incredible, as Octavia and David also finding himself battling it out in the back end of the top 10. But Mark stays in P5 for now. Happy Meal under pressure from Sam as the Alpine goes a little bit deep into Cobb's corner. And now Mark once again will be fighting with the battery. Here comes Erik storming through 2-3 positions. Look at that from Erik with that battery management. Goes around the outside, taking Max, taking Sam, taking Happy Meal, putting himself in P6. And he could finish it off with a quadruple overtake if he gets Mark now on the hanger straight. Here he comes, having a look at the inside. It's going to be almost onto the grass as we go side by side. Happy Meal's on the outside. Happy Meal takes the double position. There's contact now, and Erik goes around again. And once again, finding himself in the background. There goes Mark on the left-hand side into the grass. Absolute carnage. Mark is going to cut across the stride line completely there, putting himself back in P5. And this is just a recipe for disaster.
Come on, Mark, don't lose your cool now, mate. But it's all gone down for hill for him, unfortunately. His teammate, though, in P2, in a much better covered-up position. Do you know what, Milan? I had a beautiful helicopter cam of those trainer cars fighting there, and Eric's triple overtake was reminiscent of JSR when he overtook Sasha and Kevin and Sasha as well embroiled in a battle for P1. But I think these two are now working together, which is good to see, because these two were growing aggressive. But now they know they have broken the train. So it's very important for these two not to fight now and just control this race, because the guys behind are fighting so hard, they're losing so much time, and they've cost themselves as well. Lucas and Miles Makis will be so frustrated with Mark defending so aggressively, but that's fair enough for Mark. He wasn't doing anything abrasive or too harsh. He was defending the right place at the right time, wasn't even left or right, but Miles Makis would have been so frustrated because he's now broken that gap between himself and Sasha. So it's worked in those two favour there. I don't know if Lucas has the outright pace to catch Sasha and Kevin Soderbergh. Plus, as well, when Miles Makis did get past Mark, he had to save battery, which is counterintuitive because he wants to close in on Kevin and Sasha. So it's a double blunder there for Miles Makis in P4. Really a shame, but he tried it. He tried. I think he should have been a bit more conservative and lenient. And we see Max and Eric there go side by side in the Brooker zone. The two Red Bull cars, Racing Bull and Red Bull, going side by side. And now Eric has been promoted up into P8. But once again, it's Eric. Oh, no contact!
Ooh,
what on
no.
earth happened there? Max is in a full-blown spin in the final corner. It looked like he made contact with somebody, obviously.
It's Octavia.
Yes, Octavia. I thought it was. I thought it was Mercedes because it looks alike. But we see now the Alpine, who has been put into a cute angle. And the Williams says, thank you very much, mate. I'm taking both of you on. And Sam Hugaboom goes up into P5 ahead of Happy Meal. I wonder if that's Sam's real last name, because if it is, then I'd say it all the time, Hugaboom. Probably that's his nickname. But now these two go side by side through Luffield we go. Happy Meal versus Sam. Sam just inches forwards, but Happy Meal try and hold the outside line. Now it's a battery race all the way down towards Cops. I wonder which one of these drivers will use more batteries, try and get ahead of who. And Sam Hugaboom moves himself up into P5 ahead of the Alpine. This has been a mega scrap for the midfield pain points. And here comes the Haas of Mark, who is not giving up just yet. He's going wheel to wheel with Happy Meal, but Mark there couldn't make the move stick and stays behind. His speedy compound tires at this stage are probably going off. We're seeing Sasha everly so close behind Kevin Soderbergh, about 1 or 2 tenths as well. He's been pressurising him, but not making the move. I think Sasha is just playing a long game. Now he's got a big gap behind him. He doesn't want to lose this gap, but although Lucas is started to try and get forwards and inch forwards, this is the same top three, by the way, as the Australian Grand Prix, Kevin, Sasha and Lucas. But unfortunately, this time, Lucas is the one that's been disattached from the train. And Happy Meal there, getting past Sam again. Where is that? Down at turn 1, I presume. Yes, it is. He has got past him. Meanwhile, in the background, more fights going on for the minor points pain position. The Aston Martin there, Gull, right behind the Cadillac. And it goes up the inside. That's an aggressive lunge. He makes contact with the Cadillac, but fair and square between those two. Hard, but fair racing. But the Cadillac just maintains the outside line. Now the Audi is pressurising the Aston Martin going down towards Brooklands. But Gull, he has the I. Now I'm wearing my glasses. He has an I on his name. I thought it was an L. So his name's not Gull, it's Guy. Is it? Is it Guy?
I think his full name is Guillermo, so I think it might be Guy. I think it's what I'm using.
Yeah, sorry about that. I wasn't wearing my glasses, and I thought his name was an L. I didn't see the I there. My eyesight is very bad without my glasses. And the Audi's alongside Mum and Nick, but he doesn't go for the move. His battery's completely been depleted, so a bit of battery management for him is necessary. But yeah, sorry about that, Guy. My apologies there. I didn't see the I saw the L. But Sasha, on the other hand, just keeping Kevin in check. Kevin Soderbergh, meanwhile, in first place, but not comfortable because he knows that Sasha is just sitting behind him, following him. These two know there's no point fighting right now. There is absolutely unnecessary because... Oh, in the background, Miles Mackey's going for a spin, and he saves the car. He almost hit the wall and lost his wing there. Too trigger happy on the throttle, and his P4 now is in jeopardy as Miles Mackey is behind him. Behind him will start to catch up. So Lucas has been left alone. Can Lucas somehow bridge the gap, bring this gap down? The gap is 2.4. It's so difficult when you're outside the battery mode of the guy in front of you. He's hoping that these two will fight, but these two are very smart, high IQ drivers, and they won't fight at this stage. Lucas is just hoping something goes wrong between these two, like in a sprint race where Sam Hugaboom got past both of them and went on to win. But Lucas is desperately trying to bring this gap down. Will he try and do the undercut, I wonder? Go on the midi-compound tyres and do it that way. The undercut can be quite powerful, especially go from hard to medium as well. A brand new warm set of midi-compound tyres against old hards would definitely bring the gap down, and I wonder that could be his case. But so far, the gap's just stabilising between second and third place. Nothing major between those two. These two are obviously not fighting because they know track position is vital as well. They want this to continue for the rest of the race. But once the fireworks will explode between these two later on in the Grand Prix, maybe Lucas will seize the chance of trying to get closer and closer. But so far, so good for the top two, keeping the gap 2.6 seconds between himself and Lucas.
Erik back on the charge, getting now ahead of Mark, putting himself back in 7th place. Is Bassi getting ahead of Octavia? Someone is going to the pit lane. It is David in the Alpine, who started on the medium tire, so no surprise that he's coming into the pit lane as the medium runners eventually have to make their pit stop. I have to say though, it's a bit more cloudier than we saw at the beginning of the race, so maybe rain is incoming, and if that is the case, then everyone is going to try and stay out as long as possible, and then well, it's not really going to be any undercuts to be taken for these guys. They're going to be all the way out on track if we go to intermediates once eventually, but at the moment it's still very dry out there and still a little bit of sunshine, so don't think we'll be moving to wet weather anytime soon, but who knows. We still got a long way to go, 15 laps remaining in this race after this one, and the gap between the two front runners, like you said, has stabilized as well towards Lucas. 2.6 seconds is now the gap, as he is just trying to save his tires as well, as he probably wants to extend as long as possible. See what the conditions are going to be like in the remainder of this race. Mels now though, he's got a 4-second gap towards Lucas, and the gap towards Happy Meal is started to come down a little bit as well, down to 1.8 seconds, and he is bringing Sam, Erik and Mark all with him. And to come back on your early comment, I think it is his real last name for Sam Hoogeboom. I think it's quite a common last name in Dutch, so wouldn't be surprised if it actually is his last name. Of course, a little bit differently pronounced than you would say in English. And in the background, Mark finally coming to the pit lane as well, and picking up a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And I think he already had a 10-second penalty for corner cutting for that moment early on, and well, no surprises there, as he becomes our first retirement of the British Grand Prix after the incident. Early on was very chaotic in the midfield, as we see a big fight as well between the Aston Martin, the Audi and the Cadillac of Guy Bassi and Octavia at the back end of the top 10, all fighting for well, legit points paying positions. Of course, David and Enzo Max already made their pit stops, but still they would all be fighting for at least 1 or 2 points in this race. As they finally see a change of lead, Sasha has got ahead now of Kevin. I wonder if Kevin made a mistake coming out of Lovefield, because he's suddenly half a second behind and he was ahead on the exit. It's so easy to make a mistake. We saw Dominic doing that in qualifying. When you come out of the corner, you get such a boost on the power. It can be quite tricky to maintain the control of your car if you're not pointing in a complete straight direction. It might be the case for Kevin, as he probably maybe just lost the back end. Now he's back to second place. Sasha inheriting that race lead around the halfway point of the race. But these two are still probably going to stay connected for the entirety of the race. The gap towards Lucas still around 2.6 seconds, while Mels has lost just another second towards the Williams. Happy Meal, that gap is down to 1.2, so it's going to be a matter of time before Happy Meal is going to get within that 1 second window, and it might be a fight for P4 between himself, Mels, Sam and Erik, as Octavia and Guy are fighting it out for P8. Are they? Actually they're not, because Guy has spun around, he's lost a lot of time, and he's down to P11, just ahead of Fireblaze, who we haven't really talked about at all in this race. He had a moment on the opening lap getting spun around in the final chicane, and ever since that he kept his head down and is trying to make a comeback in this race. Currently finds himself at P12. A couple of seconds up the road is that fight between the Aston Martin, the two Audis, and the Cadillac, so might be a point or two still in it for Fireblaze, especially if something else happens in this massive midfield scrap we've seen in this race, as the gap between Sasha and Kevin stays around half a second. We're at the halfway point of the race. Normally the pit stops will be coming quite soon, from the hard tires to the medium runners, but the question is if there is wet weather incoming.
Indeed, the clouds continuously gathering there as well. But yeah, I think I agree with you as well in terms of what happened in Luffield, because I saw Kevin run out wide at one point, and I think he's done it again. Lost traction through Luffield, and Sasha was able to inherit the place and go up to first place. Well, Nick really struggling through the chapel. I think he's under the compound tyres, so his mediums are going off. But these guys started vast majority of these people on the hard compound tyres. I think the rain is definitely incoming and could be a threat towards the end. Unfortunately, the gap keeps increasing and enlarging between Kevin and Lucas there. So Lucas, who will definitely score a podium unless he spins or makes mistakes, but it's another podium for his roster as well, so it's a good collection. Another podium will be added to his tally. He was the one fighting Sasha for the lead, but this time Kevin has the chance to fight for the lead for the Grand Prix. So I wonder when these guys will pit. Will they continue to extend till the rain comes? And now Kevin moves past as he goes up into first place, and the Audi has spun. Is that Bassett? Oh, puncher! It's a double puncher! What on earth is going on? I've never seen this. One to the medium and one to the hard compound tyre. How on earth have those two got a puncher, especially Bassi at this point as well? Did they call it? Oh, it's raining. It's raining right now. They call it bang wheels because there's no way they could have bang wheels because it's on the left front tyre and it has to be the right and left tyre, that makes sense. It started to rain here in Silverstone. Those two have taken their tyres a long way. Do you remember last season in Silverstone? Eric picked up a puncher on lap 12 on the mini compound tyres. It's only lap 14 now, and Eric is moving to P6 ahead, I think, of Sam Hugaboom. Sam Hugaboom is his real last name, by the way. It's confirmed in the chat, as both Audis are struggling. Do you remember 2017 when both Ferraris picked up a puncher towards the end of the race? That was shocking indeed from both. Oh my goodness me, he's really struggling there. He has no... Yeah, he's given up. Bassi has given up. Don't call safety car, please. Please don't call safety car. Just bring it home. I know you're frustrated. It's a frustrated site, but we don't want any safety cars on this occasion. So it is, yeah, he's stopped on the circuit. Yeah, I don't think I'm pronouncing his name correctly, Ralph. But some people are pitting. Is this the right time to pit? Just like in 2024, you got to pit at the right time, and Nico Hulkenberg definitely did too. With his correct strategy course, Lucas could have pulled a blinder, because if the rain gets more intense, the track will be more slippery, and therefore Lucas could catapult himself up into first place. Has he pitted at the right time? Is it too early? We're about to find out. This race has completely been changed now. But what stays the same is Kevin and Sasha for first and a second place. The grip levels will be fading between these two as well, so they can be very, very careful not to make a mistake, because on a wet track, on old tyres, it's easily done. Losing traction if you take too much curb on the entry as well. And there's the stricken Audi was parked up. Bassi looks like he's given up there, and Mum and Nick is coming around Stowe. Is coming around Stowe as well. So there he is in the Audi. That is so funny though. It happened at the same time, and they're both on completely different tyres on the hard and mediums. It happened the same place at the same time. Well, things surprise me, but the rain looks like it's getting more intense. Is Lucas catching? I wonder. Are these guys pitting? No, they are staying out. So these two feel like it's not time to change over to the intermediate compound tyres. 2024 was an amazing race, as we see Miles Mackis. Has he tumbled down the order? Oh, he spun! Miles Mackis has spun. I thought he pitted, but no. He's spun out of Stowe, and he's crashed again in the wall. Now he's reset the track. And a safety... Is that a safety car? A VSC has been deployed. The Aston Martin goes past. Oh, my goodness me. That could not have been timed worse there for Lucas, because the top two could pit, and the VSC has been caused by Miles Mackis, who was spun in frustration, hit the wall, and I'm pretty sure Miles Mackis now has unfortunately disadvantaged Lucas. Lucas on the compound tyres will be so furious now, because the top two will be able to pit and get off those hard compound tyres if they want to.
Well, I don't think they have a choice, because I don't think... it's first set has already ended. It's so quick with the VSC on this game, so they're not going to have any advantage at all, as they're going to have to continue on these slick tires. But I also don't think Lucas was gaining much time on the slick runs, but now he definitely is, I think. Although we're having to compare him towards if we can look at, of course, the real time between him and Kevin. It's around 30 seconds right now, and it is coming down 30.0, 29.8, 29.2. He's gaining a lot of time now.
Go on, Lucas!
And now it's definitely time. It is definitely time to make that pit stop. So Kevin and Sasha for sure are going to be coming in. at the end of this lap, otherwise they might lose their virtual race lead. But Kevin is going to continue on. They're going to continue on. Kevin and Sasha, they're staying out. I'm not sure why. The gap is 28.7 seconds, and Happemil has gone off as Erik is going to come into the pit lane. So is the Williams of Sam, as they slow down just enough in towards the pit lane. Although Lucas he's now 29 seconds behind, so I'm not sure why he was gaining so much time earlier on, but now he has lost a little bit of time once again. So I don't think the intermediates is that much quicker, but definitely at some parts all around the lap it does have the advantage over the slick tires. But Kevin, Sasha, Happemil are all staying out on track. Everyone else has made their pit stop to the intermediates, apart from Olijvode and David, who made their pit stop earlier to the mediums. But everyone else now on the intermediates. Lucas, the gap is I think still 29 seconds, so it's really not gaining much time. Well, apologies, I was a bit confused then on the previous lap why I was gaining so much time, but now the gap is around 29.4 seconds and it's stabilizing a little bit. So now I understand the decision for Kevin and Sasha to stay out for at least one more lap, but the longer they do on these tires, the higher the risk of a puncture, and especially now when everyone has made their pit stop already, they're not going to lose anything with making their pit stop to the intermediates right now. They're only risking themselves getting a puncture, as yellow flags out. I think it is for Bassi, who has gone to the hard tires, so his race has gone even worse as he had that puncture then pitted to the hard tires instead of the intermediates. So bad luck unfortunately there for the Audi drivers. Happemil has gone off track there for a brief moment. He is struggling on these tires, and Kevin and Sasha now they're going to pull into the pit lane to replace their hard tires with brand new intermediates. The gap was still over 29 seconds towards Lucas, so I think they will still come out ahead of the Williams driver and also ahead of everyone else. So I don't think they will lose anything with their overcut, instead of having probably a little bit of a tire advantage towards the end of the race. But it should be Kevin ahead of Sasha after the pit stops. Happemil also entered the pit lane to swap his hard tires for the intermediates. But Lucas now coming around the final chicane. He don't think he's going to come out ahead, as they're already exiting the pit lane right now. So Kevin comes into the pit lane as the leader, and he comes out of the pit lane as the race leader, with Sasha still in hot pursuit. But now it's going to be a fight in the wet, and that's definitely a little bit more different, especially with the battery management. It's going to have to be a little bit less, because you're always driving a little bit slower in the wet. I'm sure going to have to focus about that a little bit less. As Lucas, he is 5 seconds behind, so in fact he actually lost time with his intermediate car, but he's still in a comfortable P3. And Erik, after all of that, finds himself in P4, now ahead of Happemil. So after getting spun around earlier almost twice, he finds himself back at the P4. Can he now chase after Lucas? The gap is around 3 seconds, so it might be a bit of a fight between those two. But out in front, it has remained the same, with Kevin and Sasha leading the way with 8 laps to go.
I always love a bit of rain as well, because it really spices and galvanises the races, adds a new trajectory of the race as well. Bassi has retired from this race as well after a puncture sustained for him. He's called it quits and out of the Grand Prix as well. So unfortunate for both Nick and Bassi get a punch at the same time, but they had to take their hard compound tyres a long way. That's the predicament. Olai is, he's going to be compound tyres, but obviously he'll be very much slower towards the end of this race. But yeah, that's pretty much the predicament you're in, because you've got to take the hard compound tyres a long way, because you want to avoid the second stop. You don't want to go from hard, soft, then inter. You want to go from hard to inter, because you don't. Yeah, you just got to be very manageable in terms of tyre saving. And I think when Nick and Bassi pushed those tyres too hard and therefore got a puncture as well. Fireblaze goes up into P8 in the Ferrari. The man who was the back of the field on the first lap of the Grand Prix now moves up into P8. I think he's losing a bit of end plate as well, if I could see correctly down in the Ferrari. Has he lost a bit of end plate? No, he hasn't. Sorry, my eyes are deceiving me. I've got really bad eyesight. But he's up into P8. He's ill, unfortunately. His last win was at the Japanese Grand Prix last season. Kevin's last win was in Abu Dhabi last season on the final race as well. That's the only win he picked up season prior. But season 6 is when the man won the championship, and he picked up 10 wins and a few sprint race wins too, for good measure. And now here he is in Silverstone in a battle with Sasha for P2. This battle has been brewing up, and it should be amazing towards the end. Straight mode is still activated. I thought it'd be disabled in the wet, but it's still activated here in these conditions. I think boost mode is disactivated. Is it? Let me have a look. No, it's still activated. So when I did a wet race, street mode and boost has been restricted. So therefore, unfortunately for Sasha, he cannot get the rear wing open and the battery to use. But he's still, yeah, you can't use battery down the straight. You're stuck on medium now. Hey, let me have a look. I'm quite confused here. But these guys, are the wings open? The front wing's open. Not the rear wing, which is quite confusing. Eric, oh, what a shame for him. Gone off the grass there in P6. And he's tumbled down into P6, unfortunately for him. Hapmiel and Sam Hugaboom now capitalise from his mistake. Up to P4 it goes. Can Hapmiel sense a podium? Because he started to eke in on Lucas's advantage. He's got 3 laps difference in tyres. Bearing in mind as well, Lucas in P3 had to pit early as well in the dry conditions, and when you pit on a dry part of the racetrack on inters, it really destroys the intermediate compound tyres very rapidly as well. The tyres fall off dramatically, so Hapmiel could fancy a chance of a podium here. He's got 3 laps difference in tyres, so let's see if the Dutchman can make it a second consecutive podium here in Silverstone after taking one here last season too. Sasha, once again, right step back of Kevin Slipberg. Kevin Slipberg cannot shake the Haas away from him, unfortunately. He's been under massive pressure since the first race here. The sprint race, they made contact, but hopefully in the feature race they keep it more clean because they cost themselves a victory. Now it's the Aston Martin Ferrari there side by side through the loop we go. The Aston Martin, the Ferrari gets squeezed off the track, but Fireblaze keeping his nose there as well. And now it's a drag race all the way down towards Brooklands. Who will get ahead of who? The Aston Martin brings a little bit deeper, and Guy remains in P8 ahead of Fireblaze.
Fireblaze does have a better exit though, so they can still go side by side, but in the end it's still the Aston Martin in front of the Ferrari. Is Fireblaze going to be able to make that move maybe towards Cobb's corner? Has a look on the outside, but surely not. It's not going to work on it. It's going to try and go for a beautiful switchback though. What a move there from Fireblaze. Tiny bit of contact mid-corner, but it's a great move indeed from Fireblaze, and he puts himself into 8th place. Now ahead of the Aston Martin, and could he try and chase after Toctavia in the Cadillac in 7th place. He's doing a remarkable job here in this race. Normally he's found at the back of the field, but in this race he is in a genuine 7th place position. He's got a 5-second window towards Fireblaze and a 5-second gap as well towards Erik up ahead. But if he finishes like this, that will be a great result indeed for the Cadillac driver. Definitely not something we have seen lately in the previous seasons, as Erik definitely struggling out there in the Red Bull. As Habermill has caught up to the back of Lucas, so this fight is gonna continue on. As Mels, who's dropped down to P9, he is now fighting out with the Aston Martin of Guy down the start-finish straight, but it's going to be the inside for the Mercedes, and Mels putting himself then into 9th place. Then it's going to be a fight once again between Mels and Fireblaze, but Guy sends one back up the inside of the Mercedes. There's contact, and he forces the Mercedes driver off the track. So Mels will definitely not be happy with that. As Lucas and Hapmiel, they're going side by side, and Hapmiel has found himself ahead of the Williams driver, and Hapmiel puts himself into the podium playing positions, and he definitely had the advantage pace-wise over the past couple of laps. So could he try and build a gap and secure himself that podium place, or is there anything that Lucas can do? Of course, Lucas, he's got a 3-lap tire disadvantage, although it's definitely not as important on the intermediates compared to the slick tires, but he is definitely struggling. Lucas definitely seems like he's running a little bit of a low downforce setup, because look how much time he's losing through Maggotts to back, as the gap has gone from about a few tenths of a second up to over a second between Hapmiel and Lucas. Hapmiel definitely seeming more comfortable in these conditions. The gap was 8 seconds though towards Kevin and Sasha. Definitely not going to bring that gap down, but it's going to be a fight between Kevin and Sasha. There's 5 laps remaining in this race. Kevin still leads by a few tenths ahead of Sasha, but where is Sasha going to make that difference? Because the battery is not as important in these wet conditions, so he's going to have to try and make that move somewhere else, and he needs to rely on a mistake from Kevin. Now, I did see on the previous 2 laps that Kevin did go off through Cobb's corner, so he has made some mistakes on the previous lap. It's so tricky in these conditions. I might actually transfer over to full wet conditions. Now we're not going to switch over to the full wets, but it does make that things definitely more tricky for all these drivers to keep it pointing in the right direction and keep their car on the road. But Sasha is definitely closing that gap once again. It is 3 tenths between himself and Kevin. Can he find a way past in these final 5 laps? There's 2 cars ahead of them. Hopefully they're not going to intervene with the fight for the race lead, but they're going to be ghosted anyway, so I don't think it is going to have any effect on these guys. And once again, Kevin goes off track through Cobb's corner, and he cannot be doing that too many times, otherwise he might risk getting himself a 3-second time penalty for track limits.
Indeed. Sasha picked up a transgression in the first corner on lap 21. I was on board with him, he went off the track, but Sasha is tucked in right behind. He can't use overtake. There's no overtake. It's all down to set up a straight line speed. But Kevin is under pressure. He's in the slipstream. He pulls over to the left-hand side. There's a ghosted car in the way. Sasha trying to go on the outside there, but I think he got a bit distracted by the ghost. And Sasha is assisting Kevin by pushing him to the corners. And now, when he fancies a chance on the inside, here he comes on the inside. We're wheel to wheel there, a bit of contact between the bodywork and the front right tyre, but Kevin Zunderberg remains in first place. He's under all sorts of pressure in this race, and once again he goes off the track. Kevin could be at risk of picking up a 3-second penalty in this race as well, so be very careful for both men not to make contact. There is only 3 laps left to go in this race. These two, hammer and tong, since the sprint race, since the get-go, since the first race of the season, they haven't left each other's sides. And this is what we're going to see, hopefully, all season long. Sasha versus Kevin Zunderberg. We know Kevin Zunderberg is experienced, a master, and Sasha is the new driver for ILT. ILT will be very happy. I don't think any of them are watching this stream, but they'll be very happy with his progress. Do you know what's funny? Is the F1 driver versus the F2 driver for PSGL, but the F2 driver's in front. Look how treacherous these conditions are. And what's also funny as well, I haven't seen rain in England for a very long time, so this is my first time seeing rain here at the British GP. Do you know what is... In the UK, we are known for rain and wet conditions, but Kevin's off the track, and Sasha, he's side by side with Kevin, hasn't taken the lead just yet, he's going to complete the move, coming, oh no, contact, and Sasha, what a save. Kevin Zunderberg shut the door, but Sasha has saved it. Take 2. They make contact again, as those two, just like they did in the sprint race, but in the same part of the racetrack. Kevin Zunderberg was slowing down to ensure he didn't pick up a penalty. And Sasha, will he be more aggressive this time? Well, everything will be off the table here between these two. I wonder if Sasha will be a bit frustrated with Kevin's antics, because that was certainly aggressive from Kevin Zunderberg, and he barely gave Sasha any space. Eric will have the same opinion of Sasha as he squirms away. The conditions getting worse and worse. It's lap 24 and 26. Kevin Zunderberg is holding on for dear life, and just like you said, in Cops is where Kevin Zunderberg has been making mistakes. Turn 1 and turn 2, that's where Sasha makes mistakes as well, because he's been cutting corners and almost off the track as well. But Kevin Zunderberg is certainly surviving. He's got 3 laps left to survive in these conditions. Sam Hugaboom in P5 is catching Lucas now for 4th place. Miles Marquez gets ahead of Guy, and Miles Marquez tumbled on the yard after 2 spins in this race, and he caused a VSC as well for good measure. Yes, both Williams are battling as well, which is worth noticing. Is that a bird in the background, or was that contact? Somebody's front wing went off in the background. I'm not quite sure who that was, or was it a bit of I'm not quite sure what it was there as well. Something definitely floated in the background. But back towards these two, Kevin Zunderberg's weakness is at this point in the racetrack, Cox corner, which is usually flat out in qualifying and race conditions. But he goes on the stairs but stays on the track. But Sasha gets a much better exit when he decides to attack in towards Maggots, Beckett and Chapel. No, this is Sasha's strongest part of the racetrack. Can he capitalise on this? Can he get a decent exit out of here? He's heard he has the slipstream, no DRS, well, obviously not in these mode conditions, no battery on this straight, but straight mode is available on the front wing. Now it's side by side with Kevin Zunderberg, but can't seem to get alongside him to make the overtake around the outside. Oh, he breaks later. Oh my goodness, there's contact again between, oh, Kevin Zunderberg has got a 3-second time penalty, but that's because Sasha turned in so aggressively. Kevin was forced to cut the corner, and now he's picked up a penalty in this race. Wow, Kevin Zunderberg will not be happy with that. I'm pretty sure he will get it removed off. He will definitely get that removed as well, I dare say. But the thing is, though, he's still got to win this race, because he will finish 3 seconds behind Sasha. If he wants to win this race, get past him and remove that penalty. I think that penalty can be removed because he didn't cut the corner himself. He was forced to do that, Milan.
Yeah, I agree. It was Sasha would turn in quite early, and they hooked the rear tires, I think, which sent the Red Bull slightly spinning around and towards the inside of the track, where he unfortunately had to cut the inside and received that penalty. So he definitely will be able to get that removed. But if you look at the pace difference, Sasha now ahead of Kevin and he's got a gap of around 7-8 tenths of a second. So he will get that penalty removed, but it's not going to be enough for Kevin to win this race. So definitely going to be interesting. What?
Ralph says hi. He wants me to say hi to you. Ralph says hi in the comments chat.
Oh well, I'll say hi back then to Ralph. Good to have him in the chat and to have him in SDN actually as well. A bit of a surprise, but great to see him being active here as well. But we've got 1 lap to go after this. Sasha now has got a 8-10 gap towards Kevin, and I don't think Kevin will be able to bring that gap unless there is a major mistake from the Haas driver, who's now got up to the back of Mommy Nick, who is about to get lapped, unfortunately, in his own league. And look at the fight as well between Fireblaze, Mills, and Guy fighting out between 8th, 9th and 10th place. And also Sam, he is right at the back of Luke, so that fight between the two Williams drivers is also not over yet. As Sam now right on the slipstream of Lucas and might be having a go potentially towards Stowe. The Lucas defends the inside, but Sam now switches to the inside. It's going to be later on the brakes. They're going to go side by side. The Williams on the inside of the other Williams, and Sam now with the better exit. Is he going to get ahead of Lucas? He's going to have the inside line heading towards the final chicane. Lucas later on the brakes. Almost contact between the two, contact mid-corner. And now Sam is on the inside, and once again there's more contact between the two Williams drivers. But in the end, Sam will get the better exit and puts himself into 4th place. But Lucas is still all over the back, and now he's going to go back to the inside. It goes side by side almost in towards turns 1 and 2. Don't want to be going side by side through there, but in the end it is Sam who gets that position and put himself in 4th place, as Sasha finds himself driving inside Mominique. So that's definitely not distracting for him, as the Audi is not getting out of the way at all for the Haas driver, and it is well, losing Sasha a little bit of time as the gap is down to 6 tenths of a second. But unless there's a major mistake, look at that, as he slides his way out of the corner there, is the Haas driver, but it looks to be a clear way towards the finish line. It's 6 tenths between these two. These two have fought all race long in the sprint race as well, but looks like it might just be a second win in a row for Sasha.
Oh my goodness, there's contact. Miles back as the Fireblaze make contact, and here comes Aston Martin on the inside of both of them, taken away. P8, can he do it? Yes, he can. So both of them fighting have cost him dearly, and Miles Mackis is going around the outside there as well. I can't see the comment section interrupting there, but Miles Mackis squirming away, fighting for traction. Oh my goodness me, almost spins more. The rear tyres are absolutely screaming for traction. It's getting wetter and wetter as well. But Kevin Zillerberg is too far away from Sasha, and I wonder what he feels like towards the end of the race as well, because it is the last lap. Oh my goodness me, I didn't realise. It's the last lap of the race. Sasha won the first race of the season in Melbourne. He's about to do it again. It's 2 for 2. Sasha wins the British Grand Prix. And what a race for him as well. But there could be a bit of controversy. Happy Meal takes away P2 by 44 hundredths of a second. It's his first podium since last season. And here comes Sam Hugaboom to finish in P4. Lucas will finish in P5. But the battle is brewed. Look at Octavia. He is right behind Eric. He's squirming away, fighting for traction, but Eric has covered the bases and he finishes in P6. So what's going to happen between Fireblaze and Miles Mackis? He's too far behind now. Fireblaze has dropped back massively, but Miles makes contact with Guy, and Guy on his debut finishes in P8 ahead of Miles Mackis. Fireblaze, oh, he doesn't finish P8 because he got a 10, a second, a tablety. But that was a chaotic, thrilling race, just like in the sprint race. The top two were left alone to settle it between those two, but in the end, it was Sasha who prevails, and Sasha who wins again after a great victory. But I dare say Kevin Zillerberg will be absolutely disgruntled with that result. He got a put on the curb on the inside and got a 3-second tablety, but I think he could get that removed, and I think he might report Sasha too, because Sasha turned in very, very sharply and forced Kevin to go on the curb. But let's get the opinions of the drivers. Hopefully they don't kick off in Dutch here in the podium interview, because I know Kevin Zillerberg, he always says his opinion. He's not one to hold back, is the Dutchman. But let's get these guys, these boys in the podium interviews, if I can find him. Unfortunately, I do have to speak to Hackmill. No, I'm only kidding. We started the stream about 20 to 6. Well, let me say it in English. We started it at 6:40, for those who don't know. And we're still going. It is 8 o'clock already in the UK, 9 p.m. in Dutch time. That's how long this race has been in, you know.
Yeah, especially when the sprint race and now wet weather race as well. Second half always takes a little bit longer, but well, definitely was a good race, so I don't mind.
Here comes Kevin in the podium interviews. The man that finishes in third place has joined the podium interviews. By the way, Milan, as well, it's worth noting that our internet seems better. I haven't lagged out. I fingers crossed I don't do it now. Lag out.
Yeah, don't celebrate that too early.
But let's start with Kevin because he finished in P3. Kevin Zonnenberg, it was a great scrap. Thank you so much for an amazing fight between you and Sasha in the sprint and feature race. But unfortunately, you two came to blows twice in the sprint. It cost you victory in the sprint and it cost you victory again in the feature race. I know Sasha is here, so please keep it friendly. Don't go at each other's throats. But Kevin, Kevin, how do you feel about the decision in the race?
Yeah, the sprint was just all jokes, so we didn't really care about who won. We just wanted to have a little battle and into a nice moment for my headset to go. Jeez.
I thought I lagged out. I was scared then.
No, my headset just was empty. Where was I? Oh yeah, into Beckett and Beckett, we had contact in the sprint, I think. And then someone, yeah, I don't really care about that. And then in the race, yeah, it was fun. We gapped pretty early, and then on the inters it was just chilling. Yeah, I won't be getting P3 because my 3 second is removable, and yeah, with that probably maybe a pen for Sasha as well for the little contact, but we'll see. But definitely I won't be getting P3 and at least P2, but we'll see what the stewards say, I guess.
Both of you have a race for PSGL on Monday, and does this give you a good feel, a good indication, and can you take this experience as a learning curve and move on to PSGL and improve?
Well, I'm on an island on Monday, so I won't be driving.
Oh, you're going where, sorry?
I'm going on vacation, so
oh yeah,
I won't be
you did
driving.
say. I really hope you have a good vacation, mate. Enjoy it wherever you go.
That will be very good, so.
So how long you go for, mate?
I think it's like a bit more than a week. It's 8 days, so it's
So you
Monday
will be here
till
next week.
Tuesday. Nope.
Well, I really hope you enjoy your vacation, mate. You deserve it.
you.
And it's unlucky what happened, but thank you for giving us a thrilling battle between yourself and Sasha there. And
That's what
for
we're here for.
it's entertainment as well, but I know you two have great sportsmanship, and you're both very, very skilled and talented indeed, both very quick, but unfortunately just came to blows here in Silverstone. But in the next upcoming races, wish you the best of luck, mate.
Thank you, mate.
Milan, you got any questions for Kevin?
No, just unlucky about the penalty, but your praise is always there, so definitely looking forward to you two fighting it out for the rest of the season.
Thanks, mate. I mean, it is removable, so won't be having the penalty anymore after the race.
Yeah.
That's at least.
We move on to the man who finishes in P2, and he will definitely be happy as well. Halfwheel, welcome back to the podium, mate. You took a podium here in Silverstone last season. You finished in P3 behind both Williams drivers, but I dare say it was an unexpected podium here today as well, because you did tumble down the order, you did have a few scraps to yourself, but then you find yourself in the right place at the right time, pitting up at the right time as well. And Lucas was alienating in the Williams. He was struggling in those shredded intermediate compound tyres, and you took away P3, mate. How do you feel about the race? Have you heard out on the race?
Yeah, like it was very hard because I knew I had no pace compared to a few others, so it was quite hard to keep up pace. Also with the battery management, that's very hard on the circuit, so I had very big problems with that, so I lost some overtakes. But when in the sprint I got sandwiched, so yeah, I couldn't go anywhere and I just got spun around, and I think I finished P8, so good recovery for a 9-lap race. And then in the race there was the same problem. I felt that I had no pace compared to others, so I just tried to keep up with the train, but then some people made mistakes and I tried to go for moves, and that succeeded. So I made up some positions, and I knew there was rain coming, and I think that I now know that my pace in the rain is a lot better than in the dry, because the management in the rain is so much easier, and I had so much more pace, and that the guys in front were fighting also very much helped me by gaining some time.
Well, thank you very much, mate. And yeah, when you took over, Lucas, did you think that something would happen between Sasha and Kevin? Because those two were mighty close all race long. Were you hoping that something would happen between those two, and therefore you go through to win the race?
Well, of course I hoped for it, but I knew that, like, when I was 9 seconds back, I knew that if they would have collided, that I wouldn't have gotten early enough to pass them. But at the end, when I was very close, I hoped that in the last lap they touched, which they did, which they lost time with. When Kevin got a 3 second, which will be removed, but I will still have a podium. I knew I could have tried to go for it, and I succeeded on 44 thousandths, like in the last corner. I had to gain 1 second, but yeah, podium is a podium.
It has been a long time since we've seen the podium. I know you took a couple of seasons prior and the season before as well. And I think your last podium, if I remember correctly, was at the Australian Grand Prix. And it has been, I dare say, well, brutally honest about it, an underwhelming season last season, because there was a lot of promises and you coming to the field. But it hasn't gone well. Where do you think that you could improve, and where do you think it's gone wrong for you in the past?
Well, there were always people that were faster than me, and also in this game I have from F125 to F126 I really had no pace, and I have no idea how to manage, so that's something I will surely look into it. But this was my only chance, I think, this season for now, because of the rain, and what I said, the management is not very big there, so this game is not my prime, to say it like that. I'm not fast here, but yeah, to be on the podium here, I'm very happy with that.
Well, lekker man. Gefeliciteerd to finishing in P2, maybe obviously P3 with Kevin removing his penalty. Yeah. How do you feel for Belgium next week?
Well, not too good, because it's also with the battery management, just like Silverstone, so that will again be a problem, but it's a bit easier because there's more corners after each other, so I'll try to find a way to do just as good as today, but that will be hard, but yeah, let's see.
Congratulations, mate. Pleasure to speak to you. Milan, you got any questions for Hapmil?
No, just an incredible job, and I think we can definitely say that the rain is one of your strong suits.
Yeah.
Pace was quite strong at the end. I think the gap was around 12 seconds before, in the end it was only 3. Of course they were fighting, but yeah. Great to see you back on the podium, and great to see you having such great space in the wet, so congratulations.
Thank you.
And Milan, do you want to interview Sasha?
Again?
Yeah.
Last week already, but well, sure. Well, congratulations on win number 50 on this game. I think I don't think I've been in any race without you winning the race, but of course we had a bit of an incident. So what are your thoughts on both the sprint and the main race? And what are your thoughts then about the moments you had with Kevin?
Sasha, you can't hear you, by the way. You need to voice. I think it's your new account, so go to the party settings, go to the 3 dots, and put your voice to share, please, mate. Geen probleem. Continue.
Yes, hello. Well, and the race, the rain. I mean, at a point I just couldn't see the apexes anymore of corners. We went side by side through Stowe, and yeah, I watched it back. I think I just turned in too early. and with the contact model, it made Kevin make a half spin, which made him go off track, which gave him a G2. So yeah, I mean, we'll see what the stewards decide. His pen is definitely getting removed, I think, and yeah, we'll see if I get a pen as well.
So what can we expect then for the season? Can we expect an extreme rivalry like Verstappen and Hamilton in 2021?
Well, unless we get moments like in Monza and Silverstone, I'm yeah, sure. I wouldn't. I would love some banter like that, but yeah, I mean, battles with Kevin has been great. We've both been on spot this year, and I'm looking forward to more battles.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to what we'll see in the season. What are your thoughts then on Spa next week?
Yeah, well, I hope Rob isn't driving. No, kidding. Yeah, it's Spa. It's a beautiful track. A lot of high speed. Battery would be quite hard, of course. Luckily, we do have some experience with the track already with JSR, and yeah, we'll see what happens. Pace has been good on Spa in JSR, and I hope we can keep that form up in SDN as well.
Indeed. Congratulations.
Thank you, mate.
And also in Spa, we saw Kevin and Ivan go from hard to medium. Are you planning to do hard to medium in Spa?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Answer the question.
I can already tell you that, yeah, I'll definitely go hard medium if it's dry.
Well, worse for me, Sasha. Congratulations on making it to PSGL F1. I can't believe Kevin's not there in PSGL F1 because you two got similar pace, but in different divisions, which is quite a shame to see that. But congratulations on making it to F1. I really hope you do well. Make IRT proud, make us proud, and just do your absolute best, mate, in Division 1,
Thank you,
F1.
mate. Thank you.
You're
I'll try my
welcome.
best.
Geen probleem. Goed gedaan vandaag.
Thank you.
Well, that's the end of the British GP in Silverstone. It's certainly delivered as always, as the weather changed things. But now we move on. I'm not going to do Division 2. Well, I don't want to do Division 2 because it's too much work for me. But we move on to the Belgian Grand Prix this weekend in Formula 1. I think Antonelli will probably win that race. It could be weather on its way, but we'll see. But for Belgium next week, we move on there as well. Kevin and Sasha definitely got pace there. Watch out for them. But Milan Langer, as always, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure to commentate with you as always, and I can't wait to do it with you on Monday and Friday.
I agree. So let's see what we're going to see this season, and always a pleasure indeed to be alongside you.
Thank you. I finally could get my takeaway because I haven't eaten all day and this stream was longer than I anticipated, so I'm going to order a takeaway now and enjoy my weekend and the night. But enjoy the Belgian Grand Prix this weekend. Hopefully it's a good race, but we know that the high-speed circuit, like Sasha said, with the battery, it might not be a good one. We might see some swapping and changing all the time and lifting and coasting in certain parts of the track, like down towards Camel Straight and the Boston Chicane as well. But hopefully it's a good race regardless, and we'll see you all later. Ik spreek je later tot ziens. Doei.